All right. I think we are starting now. So basically, today our episode will be about the current economic situations and probably the economics in the first quarter of 2022. So I think today we are going over like the inflation from Fed after like the economic um, continue growing, so they need to raise um, the interest rates, and we'll be going over like the effects of um, the Russia military operation to the world economy, and maybe like the future of the world economy, something like that. So like let's get started with the inflation, I guess. What do you guys um, have any
Right.
comment yet? I mean anything to say about this, or should I maybe like start talking, maybe preface a bit?
Yeah, I think a prefix would be nice.
So basically, after COVID-19 hits in 2020, our world economy kind of recessed. So in 2021, our economy continues to growing. For example, in the US, last month there are more than 600,000 jobs added to like the economy. So the economy is growing quickly. So as the economy is growing quickly, then there will be like inflation because people have more more money to buy stuffs, I guess. So the price needs to be raised up. Additionally, there are like investors who use the advantage of like when there are low interest rates in the bank, so they use that opportunity to invest on infrastructures, bonds, and like cryptocurrencies and something like that. Yeah. So this effects will affect a lot of people, especially the ones who are using money, like who are lending money for house, I guess. Yeah. So you guys have anything to comment on this, and we can like discuss further.
Okay. I actually saw, but like this is like a pretty big thing in the, especially within the U.S. There are about like even though there are like a lot of like employments, there are quite a lot of like workers voluntarily quitting their jobs to like maybe like find new jobs, find a better opportunity, or maybe like during the uh COVID situations, during like lockdown or like or when they are like unemployed. Some of them are like inspired by stories or by like the situations to become entrepreneur themselves. So there there are quite a lot of problems for producers that requires labors to
Yeah,
and producers also have to like react adjust the price accordingly to the situation. So I don't think it's like I don't think like it's entirely specific company's fault to like adjust the prices or like raises the prices because like they have to like stay in the competition and like continue with their businesses. What do you guys think about that?
I think parts a huge part of the reason why company needs to raise the prices is because of the like the production costs like oil, which has been continuously increasing because like people needs more oil when economic continues growing. And I think you said that there are a lot of opportunities in the economy. I think so. I think you can do a lot of things online, especially something related to YouTube and stuffs. Yeah. What do you think about this?
I think it affects the whole economic system, not only specific businesses like tourism or something kind of depends on traveling.
Yeah, I think traveling is a huge part as well, especially for Thailand. Let me see here. So basically, I think there are around like 20 million travelers to Thailand before 2019. But um, right now we are like don't have a lot, and we are expecting around probably one fourth of um, the travelers in 2022, because like especially we have around 10% of the travelers come from Chinese, and like come from China, and China obviously China's economic has been slowing down because of like the real estate problems, electricity from last year, and probably some COVID-19 cases as well.
Yeah, China also has another problem about electronic waste management, which is like also like another big part in this in the problems of them, which they have to like kind of like deal with, which puts a lot of pressure on China too. And I think when you mentions about uh, sorry, I forgot my point. You can move on.
The
Let's just
tourism
talk
part.
about
Yeah,
aviation and of
Mm.
airplanes and traveling. Um, I think the plan of the government to expand airports or invest on aviation infrastructure should also be halted. Many personnel like air hostess or pilots are also unemployed.
yeah, I think I see you talk about infrastructure as well, which is like a huge part of 2021, because as I said earlier, there are a lot of investors who have been taking these opportunities to invest in like a lot of projects. And I think when economic recess, one of the best way to recover is to like build infrastructures like this. And but also tells me about the trains between China and Laos as well. I think that's a very huge infrastructures for Laos as well. And I'm not sure if that's considered infrastructure, but I think so, because like BTS is also an infrastructure.
I would say many dictatorial countries build a lot of infrastructures because more objective. Uh, it's more objective. The people can see it as a progress in uh, their presidency or term.
Hmm. So what do you think about like um, I think China have a lot of infrastructures that they do not like fully optimize. Some of them do not have like any people. I think part of the reason is because they're like if you build a lot of infrastructures, you also I mean a lot of buildings you also need like school, healthcares, and other stuff. So I think the same problem happened to like I'm not sure somewhere in Myanmar, yeah, as well, because like they need to provide infrastructures before people can come in.
Uh, but if you have too much, as you said, if you have too much infrastructures, you need like other supporting uh, things around them too. And another thing that you need for infrastructures are people to who help like maintain like cleaners or homeowners who can like maintain the state of the infrastructure to be like clean and livable. If because like you can see like pictures of like quote unquote ghost towns around China, and there are some like abandoned places like all around the world too.
So I guess it
And
needs.
as an
Go ahead.
example, like BTS, uh, poor people cannot even use it, and they use inflate, which cause
I couldn't hear you clearly. I'm not sure if Ink could hear you.
Actually, sorry. I think this like the Discord noise cancellation cut.
I mean, you have to stay like very close to the mic.
thinking about BTS, the
Mhm.
BTS train, it's just so expensive that the impoverished people cannot use it, and causes inflate, which which causes which would cause
Hmm. I couldn't hear
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, if you are using, I'm not sure. I think you are using like in computer, so maybe you should go a bit closer or iPad. Maybe. I'm not sure.
yeah to use buses instead and be a culprits of carbon footprint.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
for like to for the BTS point, I think they are hit quite hard as well for like from COVID-19 because obviously workers use BTS to travel. I think especially from someone who comes from that condominium to like Siam and like students obviously like our school and our nearby schools, which is your school obviously. I mean Palm school.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we are getting a little bit off topic.
Oh wait, I have one point to chat about like carbon footprints, and I think this also ties to like the topics of aviation that you bring up too. Do you guys think about like the do you guys think airplane will be like obsolete in some times? Maybe like not soon, not like in 10, 20 years. Maybe like in the future when we have like a better alternative. Because like airplanes are one of like airplanes consumes like a lot of fuels and a lot of them are oils, which I think we should touch on that too. So do you guys think it would be like obsolete?
I think there will be still be airplanes for the next obviously I think 10 or 20 years. Maybe I think there are something faster than planes. I'm not sure. It's kind of like rocket, I guess, but that would use a lot of energy as well. So another thing that I think could think of is like a tube that sends people and stops very fast and like huge tubes of tube. I mean tube tube. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I have seen it somewhere before, and I think though I don't think that would be used for like a long transportation though because I don't think you can build it across seas and oceans. But I mean you can, but you probably needs a lot of resources.
It would probably be really expensive too, right? To
Yeah.
like build something like that.
Um, what do you think about this? I think you have a lot of take on like green energy and stuffs like that, so you could give a very insightful comment as well.
Maybe like low cost airlines because of the limitation after the pandemic they cannot fly like um is
Yes, that's topic
there
is yeah. I think that's topic
Wait,
is kind of like the classes of the airplanes, so which is like
yeah.
the topics for later. I think we could do like
Wait,
an episode.
I think
I
we
mean,
can
let
do
me finish my
okay.
sentence. So I think we could do
Sorry.
an episode of like maybe we talking about this stuff, but I think we should focus on like the current economic situations. Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so
My
mm,
questions are like related quite heavily about like airplanes, so maybe we should save that for later. So let's continue.
um So I think we did touch a little bit about oil price. And do you have anything to say on this, or like oil prices, and maybe like oil price in Thailand and other countries?
Yeah, I think uh, for oil for oil prices, I've researched something up about OPEC increasing productions. I think I think it was around like 400K per month. I think, and it'll be like uh, as a responses to the uh, the war that is ongoing now. They will like increase productivity or production and increase their exports to I think like I'm not sure about the numbers, but like quite a lot of barrels to like around the world. But the U.S. is not like really satisfied with it yet.
So what do you mean? So where did it say that it will like increase the production?
Hold
Do you know
on a
that?
second. Um,
Because I think the US produce like quite a lot of oil as well, but they use a lot for like their internal stuffs, and like the second place for the most produced oil is like Saudi Arabia, and the third place is obviously Russia, which accounts for around like 10% of the world oil production, maybe like 12 I guess, and like Russia also export a lot of oil as well.
yeah, I'll send you the link. Maybe you can put this in the description.
Okay, so
Russia
Uh,
and Russia and also Iran, who supports Russia in the war, are the main uh, oil producers.
so like I think we also talk about this. How about the other prices in and in the market? Maybe you can talk about something globally and in the US and in globally slash in the US and Thailand. So I'll give you some like my context as well, I guess. So basically, I think the prices for stuff in US and UK are rising, and especially as we said, the inflation also raised pretty high. So in other countries, this is especially comes from like um, um, oil prices and like food, because obviously you have more you you need more money to produce like goods, and obviously goods will be significantly at the higher cost. So like the core inflation is like not that high for Thailand, but like the inflation that also added oil and food is quite high. But I don't think that of Thailand is very high, like is very crazy right now. But inflation for other countries is quite crazy, quite crazy. Yeah.
yeah, especially in Europe, especially like in Europe for oil, in America too for oil, and uh, I think I saw the other day about like Japan having like a supply shortage for chicken because chicken in Thailand they I think because of like there are some problems in chicken meat production in Thailand. And speaking about meat, yeah, that's definitely for Thailand pork. Pork.
Uh,
Also, the pork also.
Mhm.
Palm,
Yeah.
do you like have any thoughts on other prices of goods? Because I don't know a lot about this kind of stuff.
It's really about uh the 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 cost of transportation.
Hmm. Yeah, because of oil
Maybe the
prices. So
inflation, the inflation.
And I'm not sure whether like this will matter or not, but because of like COVID cases, the like fluidity of transportation, would the fluidity of transportation be like slowed down or will be like harder because of COVID cases too? Or thoughts on that? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I saw like some cabs and drivers on in the US are um, like what do you call it? They don't earn a lot of money as they used to. Including taxi driver in Thailand as well. So what do you guys think about stocks, bonds, and crypto in like disinflation and maybe like COVID-19 as well?
Are we
Um,
talking only about the
The
COVID impact, or
yeah yeah
or something, the concepts about them?
we are talking about the current situation of stocks, bonds, and maybe crypto that is affected by the inflation, and we'll later get on about the Russia Russia military operation.
Personally, I'm not like very knowledgeable about like cryptocurrency stock trading. I think it's more like I think you guys should like explain this to me.
So I'll start with stocks first. I think stocks have been doing not great lately because Fed is announcing um, the rest of interest rate um, 0.25% on March. I think that's for like um, s- I think that's for like when you like save the money. And I think when you like not sure like loan, not sure about the words, you it will be higher, but that's for saving the money first. And for bonds, bond is kind of bad as well because when bonds inflate, then it's not good. It's quite complicated. And crypto, I don't think it's very stable right now. From one day it just like goes up like 3 or 4%, and another day it just come down. So it's very unpredictable. And for COVID-19 cases, um,
I mean, for COVID-19 cases,
I
it
have no
depends.
comment, Nicholas. I have no comment.
It depends on each country's policy. Uh, I looked at like the rate for Thailand and US. Like the infected are like quite high, like really high actually. But the death rate are like very varied, I guess, for like each countries. So that's pretty interesting for me.
For each cryptocurrency, or stock, or even forex, I think depend it really depends on the policy of it. Like if there are a big investment from Tesla, from like SpaceX or Tesla on that cryptocurrency, the price will really goes up.
So yeah, I think
But I think Bitcoin would be the most stable currency for, like, in terms of many months or many years.
really
Long
I
term.
haven't looked into other crypto that's not Bitcoin. So what do you think about like stocks and bonds that are not like really affected by like huge company? I mean, they are affected by huge company, but not like Tesla. I guess maybe like index like S&P and Dow Jones, which which if you don't know are the index um for like different kind of stuffs like um banking and something like that. Mm, okay, I think we can move on then. the only comment
Yes.
I'm going to talk about COVID-19 cases is Omicron is obviously like very easy to spread, and maybe it is not like that lethal as the old the old version. I'm not sure like how to call it. But the old version is a lot more lethal, I guess.
But there are also about COVID. There are also like some like very new variants of like I think it's called Beaou.
Yeah, but we have to look into COVID-19 cases very carefully as well, because obviously it's people life, and it affects a lot of people near them. As I said earlier, it's their families, their friends, and stuff. And also, if we couldn't control like COVID-19, hard it will severely affect Thailand economy as well. And because we are like opening the countries right now, so we want to control um, the COVID-19 cases to be as low as possible.
Do you
Yeah.
think the idea of maybe sandbox or like Asian Go is good?
Mm.
Can you
From
explain
your
like the second one? Because I
Asian Go
let's
like
go with like you can just test there and just go test for hey do you have like the virus or not and just go like immediately maybe like a little bit of quarantine if I remember correctly, right?
um I'm not just like a scientist, but I'm not sure. I mean, if it's like maybe you already get infected, maybe 2 or 3 days prior to that shit, it might not show up because it's not like that much of a symptom, I guess. And I think right now we are doing so. It's for sandbox. It's like when you come in, you can land in like Phuket and quarantine there for like 10 days or something. Is that right?
I think sandbox is uh I think sandbox is okay as an experiment because it will have like a more controllable data and like the group of people whether like it will work or not on like the larger scales. But overall, it's still like very dangerous for people in like those areas, in my opinion.
Palm, are you talking about like this in Thailand or just in general? Because I think we could.
just in general, let's just ignore whether the government
I think the
did it.
system could be improved a little bit, because part of the reason why foreigner would come to Thailand is because like um obviously you have to pass through a lot of methods, and when you go here you have to stuck here for like several days as well. So it's not like very the most efficient way of spending your times and mental resource, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have anything to add to this?
I agree. Let's just move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is the big one here, which is the effect of Russia and UK, um, of the Russian military operation. Yeah. So obviously we are not going to talk about politics and the stuff. Yeah. So we're going to focus on the effects on the world economy, and maybe like the futures of like what's going to happen. So I'll give you um, a bit of context here. So basically, the world is, especially EU and the US, is just sanctioning. I mean, is are putting sanctions on Russia, and also like the the big oligarchs as well. So this hurt Russia economy and people very hard because they cut Russia from SWIFT, which is like how they um, send their money, I guess, and also foreign investors also pull their money off of Russia as well. So what do you guys think? I'll give a bit more.
It's
So
kind
yeah,
of
you go ahead first, and I'll add more
okay.
stuff later.
Yeah. I think I would like to talk about like how cutting Russia from SWIFT would be like harder for Russia, from like Russia and like Russians in general. Uh, I think by cutting Russia from SWIFT, obviously, it will make like money transactions for Russians like way harder, and I also think that like money transaction like globally, especially like in the 21st century, is a very important thing because like many people like live around the world with like far from their own places, and some like for example there are like many foreigners now live in like countries apart from their own, which doesn't really like happen like a lot in like the really like far past time, which is like relatively a new thing. So I think it will hurt not only like people in Russia, but like it might hurt some people around the world too.
Um, it's is not only hurt like some people. Obviously,
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of thing, I guess, war hurts everyone, especially in terms of life, and um, the obvious one is effect on those countries' economic and other countries in the world as well, especially because Russia import export quite a lot of oil, as I said earlier, and I'll go into
So,
this this detail later.
so firstly, there have been a lot of sanctions, so it really impacts Russians and the government. But for many companies, you have to look at the levels on it. Some companies really want to uh, uh, ensure it, uh, economics. Uh, just want to show people that they just they have taken actions on it.
Hmm. Yeah, I couldn't hear you very clearly.
I, I think I can simplify it. I think it's about like PR or I think you talk about like how some companies like many companies are doing things to like show that they actually take actions on Russia about like they actually care about the situations and they have taken actions about it, right, Parm?
Yeah, so basically, Supercell, which is like the game developer for Clash of Royale Rosters, also and Clash of Clans, so also like takes action on that. Because part of the reason is because they could not do transaction with um Russian, and also they are cutting their services from Russia. So basically, you can play like Clash of Clans in Russia. I guess I'm pretty sure that's the that's the thing. And also the problem with sanction that I was talking about that earlier is like Russia is obviously a pretty huge country and it's export a lot of stuff to the world as well. So for my information here, I think Russia export around like 10-12% of the oil to the world and maybe like 17% of the natural gas. I'm not sure if for like the natural gas is it like the the production or like the export amount. And also Um, they export quite a lot of palladium as well, which is probably around 45. I mean, not probably, it's around 45% of the world export. So palladium is used like as a fuel cells to run cars, buses, and hybrid cars. So this really affects like car company as well. But I don't think it's hit like way hard for this one because we don't use a lot of cars right now. But obviously, as the economy still continues to growing, it will probably like increase. And also, Russia's account for 17% of um, the world, the grain export in the world as well. And Russia accounts for 20% of the world grain export. Also, other products that Russia export are corn and potassium. For potassium, we use it for fertilizers overseas, so it might hit our farmer a bit. So to sum up, Russia supply chains has been hit because Russia export a lot of gas, oil, palladium, grain, and corn and potassium. Yeah, that's my point. So, what do you guys think on this?
Mm, uh, there's a project that I have to do like about research about like Mexico before, and I've seen that they have like a lot of like corn production and like a lot of uh like grains production too. So it might be an alternative options to for Mexicans to like export uh more or like maybe like increase productivity to like be an alternative for this situation right now, and maybe like they can continue to grow uh in the future too.
Yeah, I agree as well because I mean substitute products are huge part of like economy. I mean in terms of like pure economy that I'm not sure if it's pure, but in terms of like economy that basic economy that we have to learn. I mean not have to, but we can choose to learn. I mean economic basic economic. Yeah, not economy. Economy is like the country's economy. What's your take on this?
I was a bit connected, so can you please repeat the question again?
For like Russia effects on supply chain because obviously um, they do not really like want to sanction the oil and because like their economy would hurt as well and other stuffs like grain, corn, and potassium. But as in suggested, I think those products can be like sanctioned as well because it's not like not the main priority, not the main priority like oil, which they are
Well, I
scared
think
to sanction.
so. We can use some alternatives, and obviously we have to look at new new countries that will be new producer.
But the problem is
So
that
maybe those countries will be benefited
yeah,
from this
but
situation.
so like the problem is that um I think most countries is like producing exporting their oil to like quite a lot of their potential as well. And the problem is if the West doesn't the if EU doesn't buy oil from like mm, the West, I mean from Russia, they would buy oil from other place. And if they buy oil from other place, then other the price would rise up because there are more demands, and obviously demands. I mean the price rise up at every country as well. So if we are importing oil from like Laos, we also have to pay more because I mean, if Laos sells oils at a lower price, then other countries would buy it, so they have to raise their prices as well. So it's this event, this current situation really hurts every person, and like every country. Most countries.
Yes.
I think about like increasing productivity, that might like benefit some countries. As you said, it might benefit some countries in like growing their businesses objectively, but I think it will also put a lot of like pressures on the workers that uh in those countries that work in like those industries that produces stuff around the world too. So it also like depends on each places too about like whether they are there already and a lot of pressure on uh them prior to the event, or like will the production can be pushed further, or is like, or can like or can it be like technologies uses to maybe like optimize the products more, or maybe uh to optimize the products more, or maybe like put more like how should I put this? Hold on, let me word it a little bit. To optimize more products, and maybe like to improve the quality of the products further too, and like create more competitions. There's actually like an historical examples during like the World War uh, one and two. Please correct me if I get like anything wrong. Hello, Parm. Please correct me if I get
Yeah,
anything wrong.
he's
Okay.
not dead. He is listening.
Okay. So I think I would like to brought up about like uh in responses to like the flu in like around like 1920s or almost 1930s. Uh, it's actually like create. It's actually brought up the creation of penicillin from Alexander Fleming too. So like there can be some like innovations and solutions from some crisis like this too. Please correct me if I'm getting anything wrong.
Yes.
What's your take on what do you think about this? I'll give my like opinions later. So he was talking about the
Oh,
increasing the productivity
no,
of
I don't think.
things.
I don't think. Um, some regions would like you would benefit from the sanctions on Russia because it, because Russia
Yeah, these obviously depends on like each. It obviously depends on situations of each specific countries, which there are like a lot of countries in the world.
have been heavily impacted by the pandemic, but just sanction it not just to and not just let it become like the world war and um aggravate all the economy all over the world.
Mm, yeah, I agree with Pam as well because obviously sanction hurts everyone because in the current
Mhm.
situation, as I think Ying said earlier, we are connected to like transactions and stuffs because we do trade, which is and we communicate, which is like a basic part of human. We couldn't live in the world alone, and we do some trades as well. So I think it's very hard. I'll show you my my data on the world economic data. And for what Ying said earlier, I think that increasing productivity could be increased by using technology. I have done this for my um, Thai speaking speech about farmers. So basically, you can use like AI to optimize. For example, if you are going to sell rice, and there are like many species, like there are Beaou, for example, there are Beaou and there are Ink, there are Phum and Parm. So if like Parm, there are a lot of there are a lot of there are a lot of palm, then maybe more farmer can start like um, start farming on Phum because Phum is very nice. And also if there are like um, genetic optimizing on ink, so ink can be more real, and maybe he can look like from 20 kilometers away. Maybe um, there will be more demand on this, and they can use AI to optimize BLSL to help like maybe weather condition, where how to like water the plants and other things that would help to increase productivity. But I think that would be not this year's or not next year though. I think that would take a long time, and I think it's also related to sustainability as well, like see EV cars and the uses of electricity, smart city, and something like that. So that would be a topic for another day.
Mm.
So, you guys have any thoughts on this? Okay.
Wait, let me slow my words a little bit. Why did I keep forgetting things when I talk?
That's fine. We are like not
Oh yeah, I remember now.
not in the
Sorry.
school right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
bro.
we have
Not
to
not
focus our
for
brains on other things.
yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about like if I wanted to talk about like the nature of like competitions. Because like there are like quite a lot of if there are like I'll use like Pokemon as an example here. So in Pokemon there are tiers in like Uber, OU, UU, like overuse and underuse. I'll use these two examples. In overuse, there might be like some Pokemon that are like very like popular. So as I said, as your example from before, um, from like Parm might be popular, so farmers might grow Poo more. Uh, my example here would be if OU was Parm and UU competition field was Poom. So Parm would Parm would might be like more popular in the general public, but there are still markets for Poom. There are still like format for Poom. There are still people that wanted Poom. So by focusing on Poom, you might thrive there in that market alone and might higher up the level of competitions. There might be more people that wanted to eat Poom and more people that are like interested in Poom and some it was surpass this analogy sounds weird. And sometimes it's yeah, and as like people can optimize more, so there are specific markets for specific places. So that's just how it is. Farm, do you have anything to add?
um, we couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Especially like the policy of the government um, also determines the livelihood of the farmers. Like in Japan, many farmers are rich because they own the land.
Seems like you are interested in government policy because you have asked me about government policies earlier. Yeah. So I think what I said earlier about
They about
Phum Ing,
which one is the
Parm
most
and
popular.
Beaou is also like about substitute goods as well. All right. So this is like an extra topic, I guess, because we are obviously kind of need this topic, I guess, for everyone. So how should we consume the news nowadays? Because I'll give my context here. So if you are going to YouTube and watch videos, for example, if you're watching like someone like me, you might get my opinions and you get like the recommendation more about me and like my something that related to me. So you are more likely to be like biased and obviously on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well. So how would you consume the news nowadays, especially during this conflicts of the two countries um, in Europe region?
Can we like save this topic for another time because like I actually have a lot to talk about this topic.
Yeah. So
But like simply now, I'll like summarize it like very quickly. I think it sometimes it is it's like human nature to be biased, but we have to like try really hard to be like as objective as possible to like so that people like in the news or in the stories wouldn't like get hurt or like unnecessary conflicts wouldn't be caused. But like it's still like human natures. There's still gonna be some people that uh oh maybe I'll go a little deeper uh other time I guess. But yeah, objectives try like opinionated news are like definitely, but like we have to like research the background of the sources too, whether it's reliable or not. Even some reliable sources are might not be reliable sometimes too. So it depends on the incident too. And if you wanted some like specific news from like maybe like local places, you should uh, uh, the primary sources are better. So maybe you can like do field research rather than like secondary sources from other sources. Yeah, I
oh,
actually have quite a lot to talk about this, so sorry.
So I
um,
would say the
go ahead.
best way to consume news is just to consume as less as possible, but as much as possible to be um, beneficial. So uh, just don't trust like anonymous Twitter accounts and listen to reliable sources. So just to give an example, we can see that like there's a news that uh, 12 soldiers on an island owned by Ukraine, call it island. They didn't surrender to Russia, and they were all killed. But the fact is, um,
We couldn't hear you again.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
and that can be from both sides.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So basically, when I consume the news personally, um, I I try not to trust anyone specifically, I guess. So, for example, when Dean told me that he is like 168 meters tall, centimeters tall, I I I do not trust any single words that Dean tell me. I mean, really, but yeah, I don't know how to words this, but I mean, you don't trust people and you don't trust everything they say, especially sometimes online they can be like a joke, or maybe they are not serious as well. So me and Dean sometimes are kind of like weird sometimes because yeah, no, so agree with on the fact that you have to look I think on both sides as well, because obviously there are news from the west, from Ukraine, from Russia, and obviously there are news from Thailand as well. So I guess you would, I saw someone earlier like somewhere I guess suggesting to look maybe at the Indian news. I mean some like some of them, because they are kind of like, I'm not sure, they do not have side, I guess. I'm not sure about this, but um, you kind of
Yeah,
be
it still depends on the situation, though. It still depends on like each situation. If the area is like heavily involved with each specific countries, they might have
I,
like bias
I
stuff too.
guess you try to listen to someone who is not like biased, I guess. This is
Mhm.
my take.
Yeah,
So for anyone who is listening, if there is any, I guess, so basically, you should be careful about this news as well. So, do you guys have any other things that you would like to discuss about in terms of um, current economic situations, um, like related to the military operation, like gold prices? You guys can talk, and I'll go away for like a, a minute or two.
yeah, okay. Uh, so about gold prices, Paul, you have to like please wait here. So for gold prices, the reason why gold prices are quite like popular, buying golds are quite popular right now because it's deemed as like quite what stable, especially like when there are crisis sets around the world. You have to use gold there because like they actually have like tangible objects to like back up rather than like some uh concepts or policies by an organization or maybe the government. So people would trust some tangible stuff more. Farm, please, or something.
So let's just talk about sanctions. So Dean asked me about can verbally support Russia with getting sanctions.
You're inaudible for like the first part
Of sanctions.
of this question.
All right, I'm back. So, what are you guys talking about?
I talk a bit about gold prices and I talk about like how about I'll talk like a little bit more about sanctions, but he was a little inaudible in some part.
Um, I think you guys said earlier that like gold price is like at the all time high right now. Yeah. Like when we discussed before we started the podcast, and what do you think? Like the gold price is like very high. I think Bam talk about this. So maybe you can go first.
It lost. So thank you.
Mm, can you say that again? We couldn't hear you
You're a bit
clearly.
lost.
Mm.
Can you say that again?
All right. So we were talking about gold price earlier when we like not recording, and you said that the oil prices was is at the all time high right now. So, like, what do you think it's at the all-time high right now? I don't have a lot of knowledge on this topic here, so I would like to hear your opinion on this.
I'm I'm not used to it too, but
Actually, the data right now it's not like purple. And oh, sorry,
it
it's not like
has
purple.
been like uh, the pandemic get her.
Hmm. I
It's not
think
like all time. From what I've seen, it's not like all time high, but it's like really really high right now.
I'm not sure about that year, but I think oil price. I mean the gold price is very high as we discussed earlier because um it's like a very stable asset to hold because kind of like lands. I'm not sure how you say that. Um,
Real estate.
yeah, real estates. So I think it's kind of safe, I guess, because uh, gold price is not gonna suddenly drop like tomorrow to like 10%, like Bitcoin sometimes do. And I think um like I'm not sure if this is true, but I think kind of like real estate, maybe gold price is continuously rising, maybe over time, like 10 years, 20 years. But I'm not really sure about this as well because I I had seen kind of like the silver price, and it's kind of like very unstable. But for gold, I guess it is a scarce resource, so maybe the price should rise continuously rising. But I'm not sure about this. Hmm. What do you guys think? Uh,
Secondly, we might be able to like talk specifically and research uh about these specifically more for like the other time. So maybe
all
like
right.
write that down in the idea section.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are recording for around 1 hour now. So maybe like we can record for the next maybe 10 to like 30 minutes because we are aiming for around like not longer than 1 hour and a half. So I think this is our last topic here, and maybe we can add something later.
Mm.
So basically, we are in the first quarter of 2022 right now, and each quarter composes of 3 months. 3 times 4 equals 12. So this is the last month of the first quarter. We have probably um, around 3 weeks before the next month. So, what do you guys expect from the world economy during the next 3 weeks, and maybe like for the rest of the year? I'll give my context first, I guess. So basically, this 3 weeks is very important regarding to like the military operation. Obviously, because um, we will continue to see what will happen if there's like a negotiation, if there's like a help from US, or like I mean that's not obviously not a help from US because I mean the president says very clearly, but I mean like some people can come because they are not restricted, but they are highly encouraged to like to go away from Ukraine, and maybe like there are some help from other countries, and like if where the situation will escalate it. So this is kind of hard to predict for like the next month, but I guess our economy will kind of slow down as well because Fed is um, increasing its interest rate in this month for like 0.25%, and I guess will I'm not sure what our economy will continue to slow down for the next month, I guess. So what do you guys think on this?
Mm. So I think for like as we approach the end of the first quarter, I think it's very important to, and especially like globally around the world, especially like in the West, where the seasons more like where they have like uh seasons to grow for barbecue. I think like for Thailand specifically, this uh this like year, like entire year would be like very important because Thailand and some like other countries are considered to be like newly industrialized countries. So like a rapid growth would be like very important right now. But like for for the growth of like currently like especially like after the pandemic, the growth has been the growth has not been like very rapid, and which is not a good thing for like a newly industrialized country. Like the growth is good, but you want I think you wanted like a very like rapid growth for like newly industrialized countries to like compete in like an international level. So I think this year would it wouldn't be like as high, but the I think there will definitely be some policies for recovery for Thailand and like globally too.
Okay, so let's me go first because
I would say it really relies a lot
okay,
on uh the war situation.
Mhm.
How would it end? So if the negotiations start soon, so uh,
I think there's already a I mean, I'm not
economy
sure
will
how many rounds, but I think there are already negotiations. I think that there are some negotiations, but they are not like they're not getting anywhere because like U.S. and China trade war. I'm not talking about this. Yes. So let me say this because like that I guess I should have talked a bit shorter, I guess, because for like in I have a lot of stuff to cover, I guess. So basically in was talking about rapid growth, and there is a rapid growth in 2021. For example, in China, because its economic growth in 2021 is around 7%, and for the US are like 5 5.8. So that's pretty nice. So it's pretty high. Thailand is around like 4%. So because the base for 2020 is obviously very low from getting disrupted by COVID, and this year the economy is obviously slowing down because obviously because it's starting from like a pretty high, not like that low, but obviously there are the estimated GDP has been reduced for this year because of the current situation, and I'll go to that on to that area, and you also talk about like Thailand, which is like an um what do you say the developing countries for many years now. I guess for countries like that, it is not like heavily affected in 2023 as the as as the like the analyst. I'm not sure if that's they're called analyst. Like as the very economics, like way better than economics, economists as way better economists than me have predicted that um I mean and as the stats back it up the economy kind of grow like not not they are not heavily affected, but like US they are obviously like they are obviously already developed, so that economy is obviously slowing down, because I mean there's not a lot to grow, and obviously for China it has been slowing down as well because of like um, the real estate problem, the electricity, and COVID-19 cases. But COVID-19 cases is not a big deal in China. It was
So you think China is kind of a hermit nation,
Um,
meaning they don't rely or depend a lot on other countries. They can develop on their own, no matter the COVID situation of surrounding countries are.
I mean, it Thailand is obviously depends on other countries. I mean, we already had talked about traveling earlier. Traveling is like 17% of Thailand GDP. Um, so basically,
China,
I mean,
I think
12%.
about what?
So
I say
basically,
I did say about China.
oh, okay. Okay. Can you repeat like the question?
Do you want me to go first?
I
Okay.
think it is a hermit kingdom because they can rely on themselves. Um they can grow their economy no matter the COVID situation of the surrounding countries. Like when they recover from Wuhan outbreak, they they can grow a lot as well.
Yeah. So for me personally, China is. I think China can be countries because, uh, like China have China has like a lot of resources that are very important, such as silicon, because they guys know that China is like the biggest tech producer in the world, like right now, which is and they also have like a lot of because most people live around like the economic area towards the east part of China. The west part still have like a lot of resources uh and they can still have like natural tourism for within the countries too. So I think China would be a sustainable urban economy.
So I don't know about this, but do you know like that they are moving to the east part of China? I think like the most condensed part in China is. I mean, it's kind of scarce around in terms of the condensed part because obviously there are some big cities that I mean around China, but I guess the most populated part is kind of like the south and the east. I guess I'm not sure. Do you have any like any knowledge on this?
Maybe on the western China, there are like ethnic groups like Tibetans or Muslims in Xinjiang.
Okay,
It's culturally diverse there, and they are mostly desert. So desert.
yeah, I don't think we should go too deep into this topic. Yeah, so I
So
think
it's hard for the development.
okay. So as to your question, I mean as to our discussion, I guess I think China can definitely sustain its sustain the country by itself because obviously it has a lot of resources and especially now China has been developing in terms of like infrastructures in terms of like technology so and they also have like online transaction and stuff as well so I think they have like resources to operate by people have in China have resources to operate by themselves and mm, I think it would hurt China though if there are like if China is shut down from everything because obviously China do trades with countries like Thailand and other countries, but I think huge part of China has come from the country itself, because not like the export, but it and it also relies on like import as well. So I think it would be affected, but not like the end of the world for China if there there are alone US. All right. So do you guys have any like thoughts on any additional thoughts on like the economy in the first GDP of 2022?
Wait, pardon, what's the question again? It's still on my keyboard.
What did you
What's the
say?
question again? Sorry, it's a little laggy for me.
Oh, okay. So I was talking about any additional thoughts on the first quarter of 2022, and I think we have no additional thoughts. So what do you think about this year economy? Because I think you kind of covered that already, but I'll give you my data as I promised like almost an hour ago. So basically in 2021 the world economy was the world's GDP, which is like growth is around 6%, and 2022 at first it is expected to be 3.7%, and now it's like has decreased to 3.3, and the next year for 2023 it'll be um 3.0% after reducing from 3.4%. So it was mm, in 2022 we are obviously kind of impacted by the inflation and like the current situation, I guess. And this is also interesting as well for Russia. I guess the current if the like current situation continues for like a long time, the inflation for Russia might be expected to be around like 13%, which is at the end of the year, which is very high, because the good inflation should be like around 0.5% at most, I guess. Because I mean a huge part of economic growth is to to reduce unemployment rate, to um to not like reduce to not increase inflation rate, and to allow economic growth. And for Russia is its GDP has increased around 4.7% in 2021, and 3 point it is expected at first it is expected to be 3.6 this year, but right now it is expected to be like minus 5.6%. I guess this is kind of boring to say, I guess, but um, it's over, so you guys can talk now.
Thank you very much for facilitating info. It was really interesting.
Okay. So, what do you think on like the world economy, and maybe we can touch on Thai's economy there this year, and maybe like next year.
Mm. Yeah, I think I've said this before, but I think it would be like mainly on focusing on like recovery in like many parts to in many like industries of the countries. Similar to like Russia, I think you said it's grow around like 4%, right?
From point
Yeah,
7 in 2021.
yeah. Uh, so I think many countries will focus on like recovery and to like get the growth to be like more steady. Uh, this year. Maybe like some countries have already like succeeded last year, but I think some will be continued this year too, and like maybe like uh having like more steady growth and like maybe be like prepared or like have some reservations for a crisis too.
Reservation for like what?
No, like reservations or something like some money or some like infrastructures in case of like crisis. Maybe like some bunkers in case of war. So yeah, safety would be like more important. I think. Yeah. For this year.
Yeah, especially with COVID-19 as well.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Uh,
so my question, and can the GDP really indicate um the economy of each country? We have to really look at the education, the healthcare of people.
Mhm.
That's more important.
Yeah.
um, oh, I
I
see.
A
think
lot,
Canada.
a lot of children have been left out of education during the pandemic.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've heard that a lot, especially like about Thailand too, about like children dropping from like the the education system. I think that would be like a really big problem for many countries too. For
Yeah.
some
So,
countries.
so GDP is like considered is as like a one indicator because GDPs come from overseas. Um, the I couldn't remember. This is kind of embarrassing, but it comes from like um the the total money earned minus like the spending, minus the government spending, and then plus the import and then minus the export, something like this. So it's basically a decent. I guess it's not like the best indicator because obviously when you are doing trends or economy and obviously quality of life, I guess, which is what you are referring to, you have to look at a lot of indexes. So and GDP is obviously a huge part of that because obviously if the country has a good GDP, then it's more likely that people will have a better quality of life. Not to say that like higher GDPs mean people will be happier and maybe they have better life better life, but it's kind of like one indicator. Obviously, you can for us we can look at like life expectancy, which is like pretty long term, I guess. So we can do that, and maybe we can look at GDP per capita and other stuffs to help indicate. And I think safety and like maybe what do you call it? Like I guess it's like social service is very important as well. As Parm said, children care and maybe like health healthcare and social service for elderly has becoming like a huge part obviously as people becomes as there are more like older people in Thailand.
Uh, I guess it's been like 1 hour and 20 minutes since we have recorded the video.
Yes.
Let's move to the conclusion.
Okay, sure. Ings, do you have any like additional thoughts on this?
Oh yeah. About like the question that you've asked, I think GDP is a good thing to for like the general public because I think it's like probably like a very intuitive concept of like big equals good, small equals na, and something like that. So I think it's the good thing about it is that it's very intuitive and it can like pass through many people. So it's a good thing to like tell people about the state and maybe like I think it's a good like preface and maybe like go into like deeper stuff later too.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
also look at GNP stocks and bonds and in
Mm.
other investments and government policy as well. So um, I think Pam wants us to sum up now. I'm not sure how to sum up, but so basically today we have talked about kind of the current situation about economy. So have talked about the inflation from Fed and like how oil prices affected by this as well as other businesses and other goods and services as well. And we also talk about the effects of the Russia military 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 operation on the world economy scale and on like the US and Thailand. We also talk about the future. So, mm, so do you guys have anything to say about this?
Say thank you very much. This is a very very fun and like very good experience for something so.
Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. It was so I'll try. If you guys want, I'll put your Instagram link on the description, and we'll link the website. I mean, some websites that we use down below. So, do you guys
Yeah,
okay with
sure.
linking Instagram down in the description?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Alright. So that's pretty much it. Let's say goodbye, because
Bye bye.